Welcome to Cinema Gulp, everyone. It's Ben and Kat, and we're doing a winter 2023 leftovers. The creator. First things first, Kat. This movie looks fucking incredible. The design, the visuals, the aesthetic, the sets, the costumes are just amazing. It shows what you can do with $80 million if you know what the hell you're doing with the goddamn camera. What it does lack is really strong character development. I mean, it's there, and Washington is a really strong performer, but there was just some element of heart missing for me. But I do think it's a strong watch. I think it's an entertaining movie. It's an impressive movie. And once again, though it has ideas and storylines that we've seen before, it's an original movie that takes place in its own universe. And that universe is really unique. I was surprised after watching this movie in the theater that the two guys I watched it with did not like it at all. They absolutely hated it. I felt like we were watching a completely different movie. It has its problems, but I just love the ambitious nature and the craft that went into it.
Yeah, this movie looks absolutely incredible. And the fact that they achieved it for 80 million, it's like, yes, I do agree there are some narrative contrivances and problems, even like with the title, the titular creator character. They don't really have much to say or do with the story, and it is basic. I mean, the emotions did work for me. I thought it was pretty good in that respect, even though narratively I felt it was a bit lacking, but I was just won over by just how visually striking the whole movie was. Even when you set aside how amazingly low the budget was, it's still a phenomenal looking film, and just the locations alone and the way they integrated the visual effects of that is worth seeing, especially on the big screen. It was definitely a good cinematic experience. So Dream Scenario, a film which is marketed very much on this very unique concept of a very seemingly down-to-earth, nothing remarkable about this man, this teacher played by Nicolas Cage, who starts mysteriously appearing in everyone's dreams, and then one day he does something happened in his personal life which goes awry, which causes everybody else to start experiencing nightmares, which a very unique relationship between his life and what people are dreaming about. And I do wish they pushed that concept more, because at the end of the day I felt that the concept was more or less a plot device, because they wanted to tell a story about the highs and lows of going viral, as well as making it a scathing indictment of cancel culture. Nicolas Cage turns in an amazing performance. I really did enjoy it as, again, being something really unique in an era where people want to see something new. Like, this is definitely something new, though again I do wish they pushed that uniqueness of the concept a bit more and used it as more than just a plot device.
It had a really good script. Nicolas Cage is crushing it lately. I'm glad to see him getting some praise for this movie, but honestly, it should have been praise for 2021's Pig, which he's 10 times better in. But good praise or not, it's all Nicolas Cage, and that's always a good thing. This movie feels like a Charlie Kaufman script directed by Spike Jonze. It has that whimsical quality to it. I mean, I get the really dark and funny, and it has what it has to say about cancel culture and society today, and how we all treat each other. And it's a very clear message, but not really in your face. I really like this movie. I don't think it's perfect. Sometimes it can stay on a certain path for a little bit too long, but the fun idea, the original concept, Nicolas Cage's performance, that's always welcome in the Cinema Gulp spaces. It goes from him becoming an overnight celebrity to being a fucking pariah, and that happens all the time in our society today. So Ferrari. Look, this is a well-made movie, and I love Adam Driver and Penelope Cruz in it. I just didn't see the point of the movie. And I know you and I, Kat, talked about this a little bit of back and forth. I don't understand why this portion of his life was visited thematically. There's just not much to it outside of the very end, which completely wakes up the audience with an insane crash. The racing in this film, I mean, earlier on in the year, you had Gran Turismo, which I think was 10 times better and more exciting as far as the racing sequences go. I guess the whole movie is summed up by his relationship with another woman who he always says he loves, but we never really see that love or connection. He has way better chemistry with his actual wife, Penelope Cruz. I just found the movie empty and without having anything to say, if that makes sense. That's just the way I feel. I walked away not really coming to know like these details of his life or not caring. it's just not that fascinating of a life. But go ahead, Kat. I want to hear what you say because I might be in the minority on that.
I really like this movie because it's not a traditional biopic. It's sort of, they picked a period where there were all sorts of different things tugging at him on the side. Like there's the mistress that he's dealing with, the fact that he has a son and his wife is on the verge of finding out. The company's going bankrupt and she holds all the cards. He feels the only way they're going to be able to sell what they need, the amount of cars that they need to sell to become profitable or to even make a partnership, is if they get their cars entered in this big race that's coming up, 1,000-mile Amiga race. And so he's trying to do that. He's juggling all these different types of things, all the while grieving his son who just died a few months earlier. And it's kind of like it's a movie where it's showing like a snapshot of just his personality and how he deals with things, and just how, like, this guy literally had the ability to tell the media, just not, I didn't like the article you wrote, get out, you get out. And it's just like that very bizarre level of power and reverence people have for him. And it did admittedly take me until about a third of the way into the film before I caught on with was on board with Adam Driver playing this role. I liked it better the second time, but it feels like one of those, again, snapshot movies where you want to get an essence of kind of who this person is. And they didn't dive much into his the backstory of his relationship with the mistress, who at one point says, "If I was the woman now, that 12 years ago, I wouldn't have interfered in another person's relationship," kind of thing. And I think it's more so just they're trying to pick what is the more tumultuous period that is going on, because they never mentioned it in the film, but that big crash that you see at the end is what led to the banning of all street races in Italy forever. It's still in place today. And I thought the racing sequences were great. It just, like, I think they did a good job of putting the camera like literally right there on the road, so it's just like, oh, geez, you get a real sense of speed with these cars. But yeah, it's not going to be for everybody. It's been getting kind of mixed reviews, not been doing very well at the box office, but I enjoyed it. Yorgos Lanthimos' latest film might be one of his more inaccessible ones. Poor Things is easily probably one of the most stunning in terms of production design and art direction of the year. It has this almost puppet show, if you will, type look to it. Like, he's using a lot of fisheye lenses, and some of the designs of the buildings in the background are deliberately more, how should I put it, like kind of like a puppet show, artistic, like really out there. It's probably the first time I've seen Mark Ruffalo play a jerk, and it was really funny. Emma Stone is great as this infantile, like, creature, Frankenstein's monster type creature who's trying to learn. She's like seeing the world for the first time, essentially. And I love the juxtaposition between black and white and color and how they use that in this film. And I like Yorgos Lanthimos, who did, The Lobster and Killing of a Sacred Deer and The Favorite. And this one is just definitely like, wow, what did I just watch? It was.
Thank you for pronouncing his name so I don't have to. First of all, I've seen all his films, and to me, this is by far his best movie, in my opinion. I think because he has a mean-spirited attitude, especially with The Lobster. There's just I think he's a very good filmmaker. This movie is incredibly original, beautifully crafted. It takes you away completely to a different world. Remember when movies used to do that? Emma Stone gives the performance of her life and the best performance of any actor this year, in my opinion. This is the best I've seen from Mark Ruffalo. I've always kind of thought he was a little bland, milquetoasty-ish, but he gives this his all, and his character is just pathetic, and he leans into it, and it's some of the funniest stuff by far. It's just such an interesting, unique film filled with colorful characters, colorful sets. Themes and visuals were just nothing compares this year to just the visual experience of this movie from the sets, not CGI stuff, but just the sets. Like, I love how you put that. It's like a puppet show. I was almost reminded of Cabinet of Dr. Caligari at certain points, where the camera lens kind of opens up the iris, to certain scenes. I fucking love this movie.
That's the word I was looking for. Expressionist. It's like a German expressionist type design.
It is. It's 100% a German expressionist film. Yeah. I love it. Silent Night. This movie sucks. It's bland. It's boring. The concept of no one physically ever talking to each other on screen gets old in about 10 minutes, or maybe even 5 minutes. It takes a large amount of suspension of disbelief to believe that the entire cast and the events of this movie could take place with no one ever actually talking to each other on screen. It's so fucking stupid. And if that's the best that John Woo is coming back with American cinema again, he should hang this up for sure. Oh, by the way, this movie has nothing to do with Christmas except for the fact that it takes place on Christmas. There's no music, there's no visuals, there's no references, there's no gags, nothing.
The Iron Claw, this is inspired by the true story of the Von Erich family of wrestling. The performances, you get some of the best of the actors' careers in this. Holt McElhaney is the father. You have Zac Efron giving his best performance as Kevin Von Erich. Jeremy Allen White is really great as Carrie Von Erich. You have a couple new faces in there. Maura Tierney, excellent as the mother and the wife of the Von Erichs. A lot of people watch it and they say it emotionally wrecks them to the point that they'll probably never watch it again. I'm not one of those people. It was very emotionally impactful, but I loved it. It's the type of thing I would watch several times. I can't wait to see it again. It was, take some liberties with the Von Erich story, but it does so in a way that's conducive to the type of story that they're telling. My third favorite film of the year. It's excellent. Everybody should go and see it. It's certainly the most tragic drama that is going to be seen this year, or one the most tragic that I've seen in quite a while, but it was very well directed.
This is one of those movies that I think is amazing that I never want to watch again. Outstanding performances, great level of detail into the inner workings of the up-and-coming pro wrestlers of the 80s. I appreciate it for that. I did not like the guy who played Ric Flair, though. I thought it was lousy and laughable. It's a fascinating but very tragic story. I almost wish the movie followed Jeremy Allen White's character instead of Zac Efron's. I just feel there's a little more to it. The fact that he went on to become an Intercontinental Champion with a prosthetic leg, they gloss over that and they don't show that. I think that would have been a more interesting story to get through the middle of the second act into the third act. For me, overall, I thought this movie was great. Probably not going to make the top 5, but right there as an honorable mention. Great movie. Godzilla Minus One. I still don't know why it's called that, but I think it's my favorite Godzilla movie out of every one that I've seen, and I haven't seen them all. I like it when he's just a mean motherfucker. I don't like it when he's like helping people. It's stupid to me. I don't know. The movie is fucking awesome, and Godzilla is terrifying. It has an element of sadness and tragedy because it treats the death and destruction with care. So it's not just this feast your eyes on this beautiful destruction, Roland Emmerich, Michael Bay type stuff. You actually feel terrible when Godzilla is trampling over these things because you not just care about the main characters, you just care about everyone around there. It's essentially about family and rebuilding a life after all is lost. And the human story is just as good as Godzilla fucking shit up, I think. I love the sound design of everything that Godzilla does. It's so creative, and it's that kind of stuff that just reminds me of sitting in an editing bay and like working out a sound design for something. I love the visuals. This movie is incredible.
Film has the best human characters in any Godzilla film, and that's because they came up with a story, a redemption arc. Godzilla is merely an obstacle to that story. He is, in a sense, not consequential to the story. You could have replaced Godzilla with just about anything you wanted to represent that obstacle, and that's why the story works so well. That's why you feel something when Godzilla comes to town and, you know, fuck shit up. And it's like you actually... I never really felt that way watching a Godzilla movie before. Usually he just comes and destroys stuff, and yeah, the visuals are cool, but do you really care about the human characters? You're like, no. And this one you do, and yeah, I think it's easily one of the best Godzilla films ever made. It's definitely channeling the original 1954 Toho Godzilla film, and highly recommended. When you think about the fact that Hollywood can make movies in any country they want to, it's like this movie looks like $100 million blockbuster, and it costs like pittance.
This is how you do it, Hollywood. Get your head out of your asses and stop thinking you have to spend so much money. You just need creative filmmakers. That's all you need, just creative people. Stop wasting all this money, because this is one of the coolest designs of the Godzilla monster I've ever seen. The fact that he's just evil. Oh, he's just a force of nature, you know, and I don't like these American ones just because I don't like this, like, he's here to help humanity bullshit. Like, it's so dumb, and it takes away from the terrifying nature of such an awesome monster that was originated as like an allegory of nuclear war. And this movie displays that perfectly, especially placing it at the ass end of World War II in Japan.
Godzilla Minus One and The Creator, from a production standpoint, are some of the two most important films of the year for what they can achieve on much slimmer budgets. Wonka, a holiday film which has been taking the box office by storm. I was highly skeptical going into this movie. We don't need an origin story for Willy Wonka. The mystery of the character is one of the great appeals of the character. But I was completely won over by Timothée Chalamet. He gives an absolutely great performance, totally convincing as Willy Wonka. Yeah, the story is a very simple children's story, mixing a bit of dark with a bit of light, and a little fun, great family film. But Timothée Chalamet really sells it and is the primary selling point to this film. Would not be surprised if they do a sequel. You can see it at home or streaming, whatever. It was good. It's a decent little film, but you watch it for him. So Martin Scorsese's latest, Killers of the Flower Moon, a 3-hour, 22-minute marathon, surprisingly paced very well, though you still start feeling a bit fatigued as we get into the third final hour of the movie. Choosing to tell the story from the perspective of the villains was certainly a unique choice. Yes, it makes the film seem all the longer when your main character is this real southern, frankly, an idiot, played by Leonardo DiCaprio, and what is admittedly, I think, a very good performance. Robert De Niro, however, is one of the big highlights here. I think he gives his best performance in many years as the evil mastermind of the plan. Lily Gladstone, very deserving of any awards that she gets throughout award season. She was quite great as Molly Burkhart. The production values are stunning. The fact that they actually shot on the real locations where this film takes place, and you could tell they paid very much close attention to historical detail when it comes to costumes, and just the whole design of the film is great. However, I do feel that this story and the amount of moving parts to it did not need to be a 3.5-hour movie, similar to Scorsese's last film, The Irishman. Unlike The Irishman, where I think the story of Killers of the Flower Moon is stronger than The Irishman to the point that you could support a long movie over it, I still feel it was longer than it needed to be. And I'm not exactly a fan of how he chose to end it. He went with a very specific, deliberate choice, which it felt to me almost like he got tired telling the story because we're 3 hours, 15 minutes into this. Let's just shoot this in here to cut it off and be done with it. And with a little bit of fourth wall breaking stuff at the end. But the journey up to that point I saw was still very good. I did see it twice in theaters. It's worth watching if you have the ability to see it.
Two really cool things about this movie is that you have the reunion of Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro, who, correct me if I'm wrong, last time we saw them together was A Boy's Life, which I love so much. And you also have probably the two heaviest hitters of Scorsese in a movie together for the first time, which is Leo and De Niro.
Yes, that's the first time they've been together in a Scorsese film. And the chemistry they have and the chemistry that Leo and Lily Gladstone have is really great. And again, I mean, everybody's been singing Lily Gladstone's praises. I also sing Robert De Niro's praises. If you're a fan of De Niro, go see this movie. He was absolutely fantastic in it. And it's been a long time since I've seen him in a performance that was that good.
High praise for Killers of the Flower Moon. All right, everyone, thanks for hanging out with us as Kat and I talk about The Leftovers, the shit that Cinema Gulp did not get a chance to review, that we are finally done with 2023. Here's on to 2024. Kat, thank you so much for your input.
Thanks for having me. It's always fun.
Always. And everybody, until next time, we drink your cinema.